Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 178, Level.
And what a level it is. This chapter establishes a power gap unlike anything we have seen before. It's a title that works on multiple fronts. The level of power, the level of cruelty, and the emotional level Luffy is about to be brought down to.
Unlike anything. We've seen Luffy get beaten before, but this is different. He gets a hole put clean through his chest by Crocodile's hook. It's not a contest, it's an execution.
Straight through him. It's a brutal, definitive end to the fight. Oda doesn't shy away from the visual either. The panel composition is designed to shock you.
It's a gut punch of a chapter, no pun intended. If you want to be here for the moment Luffy finally pays that back, and you know he will, you have to believe he will after this, make sure you're following the show. You are not going to want to miss that chapter breakdown when it drops.
But for now, we have to get through the defeat. It begins with Crocodile, standing over Luffy in the desert, basically telling him the playtime is over. A classic villain monologue to start things off.
Yeah, he says, "Can we end these games?" And Luffy, bless his pure, simple heart, just goes, "I've been fighting seriously this whole time." He has no idea what's coming. He thinks this is a fight. He thinks he's on even footing.
That might be the most heartbreaking line in the chapter. In Luffy's mind, this is the final boss of the island. He's giving it his all, just like he did against Don Krieg or Arlong. He doesn't comprehend that his all isn't even enough to make his opponent break a sweat.
It's like a kid in a playground picking a fight with a heavyweight boxer. The kid is throwing haymakers, gritting his teeth, and the boxer is just standing there, bored. It's that level of disparity.
And Crocodile immediately clarifies that it isn't a real fight. He says they are pirates in two completely different leagues. He calls Luffy a novice and a small fry. It's pure condescension, but the terrifying part is that he's about to prove he's right.
And he proves it right away. He doesn't even move. He just raises a hand and uses this attack, Escada, which I'm guessing is some kind of blade attack from the name. It's like a wave of sand blades that just rips across the desert floor. Luffy barely dodges, and you see the look on his face. He's finally realizing what he's up against.
It's the sheer scale of the attack. Previously, with Logia users like Smoker, the threat was direct contact. You can't punch smoke. But here, Crocodile isn't just becoming his element, he's weaponizing the entire environment. The ground itself is a blade.
Yeah, the whole desert is his sword. Luffy dodges, but the attack just keeps going. It slices through a huge rock formation behind him like it's nothing. That could have been him, just cut in half, and he didn't even see it coming.
It's the first time we've seen a Logia user do more than just turn into their element to avoid attacks. Crocodile is actively shaping the battlefield. He's a master of his fruit. This isn't just a power, it's a finely honed craft.
That's exactly what he says. That's the most chilling part. He mocks Luffy, saying he doesn't just possess his devil fruit ability, he's mastered it. And to prove the point, he turns the ground beneath Luffy's feet into a giant pit of quicksand.
Instantly. There's no wind-up, no tell. One moment he's on solid ground, the next he's sinking. Crocodile stands there, lighting a new cigar, just watching him go down. And he says that in the desert, no one can contend with him. It's a statement of absolute fact.
You can feel the struggle. Luffy's fighting, clawing his way out, but the sand just keeps pulling him under. You see the panels of him getting buried, his face straining. He does manage to get out because he's Luffy, but he used a ton of energy just to get back to square one. He's already breathing heavily.
And what does this mean for the fight? It means Luffy can't even stand on solid ground. The entire environment is his enemy because Crocodile commands it. Every step he takes is on territory controlled by his opponent. It's a strategic nightmare.
That's the terrifying part. It's not about dodging a punch. It's not about being faster or stronger. How do you punch the ground you're standing on? How do you fight the desert itself?
You can't. And Luffy learns that again immediately. He tries a new tactic because he's finally realized that his usual gum-gum pistol and bazooka aren't going to connect.
His logic is so pure. If I can't hit you, I'll catch you. It makes sense in a very simple Luffy way. He stretches his arms out wide to try and grab Crocodile, and it's a disaster.
His hands just go right through the sand. It's an act of desperation, and Crocodile, being the master strategist he is, sees the opening instantly. He doesn't just let the hands pass through him, he uses that opportunity to grab Luffy's right arm.
And then, man, this is a whole new level of devil fruit power. I remember reading this for the first time and just being confused and horrified. He just holds on and Luffy's entire arm just withers. It shrivels up like a dried out husk. Mummified. The art is incredible. It looks like old parchment.
Crocodile explains it with this chilling calm. He just says he sucked all the water out of it. He's demonstrating another facet of his mastery. This is not something you'd immediately associate with the sand fruit.
Not at all. He can just do that. He can touch you and just drain the life out of you. That's not a Logia power as we understood it. Smoker can't turn you into smoke. Ace can't set you on fire just by touching you. Well, okay, maybe he can, but not like this. This isn't burning, it's deconstruction. That's a Warlord's power.
This connects back to what we learned about devil fruits from Dr. Kureha. They're not just one ability, they have hidden depths. We're seeing what a truly mastered fruit can do. It's not just elemental control, like turning into sand or creating sand blades. It's the conceptual control of sand and all its properties. And the most fundamental property of sand, especially desert sand, is dryness, dehydration.
He's not just hitting him, he's unmaking him. It's horrifying. It's a power that kills you from the inside out. But then, in the middle of all this body horror and overwhelming power, you get the most Luffy moment ever.
He sees his withered arm, panics in a very classic bug-eyed Luffy way, and immediately runs back to the giant water barrel he's been carrying on his back this whole time.
The thing we were all kind of wondering about. He just shoves his arm in there and starts chugging water like his life depends on it, which it kind of does. And it works. His arm plumps right back up to normal. It's so cartoony and ridiculous in the middle of this deadly serious fight.
Crocodile is just watching this completely dumbfounded. His expression is priceless. For the first time, he looks genuinely perplexed. He calls it ridiculous. This creature he was about to discard has just done something that completely defies the logic of his own terrifying power.
It's the first time Luffy has landed any kind of blow, and it's not even a physical one, it's a psychological one. He confused Crocodile. He did something so stupid that the genius villain couldn't account for it.
It's a perfect encapsulation of their dynamic. Crocodile operates on a level of grand strategy and overwhelming force. Luffy operates on instinct and simple, direct solutions. Bring a giant water barrel to a fight in the desert? It's foolish, but it just so happens to be the one thing that can counter this specific, horrifying ability.
But Luffy screams back at him, it's not ridiculous. And this is where the heart of the chapter kicks in. This is where it stops being just a fight about power levels and becomes personal. The real stakes are laid bare.
He tells Crocodile the story of Yuba. He tells him about the old man who refuses to leave, who keeps digging for water in a dried-up oasis, believing in his home, believing that the rain will come back one day.
He's not just carrying water for himself. That barrel on his back is suddenly recontextualized. It's not just a funny prop. He's carrying the hope of that old man. He's carrying the promise he made to Vivi. This water barrel is everything Alabasta is fighting for personified. It is the physical manifestation of hope in a land that has lost it.
And what's Crocodile's reaction? To completely and utterly dismiss it. He says the will of one old man means nothing to a king. He calls it a meaningless little tale. It's this profound moment of empathy from Luffy clashing with a wall of pure sociopathic narcissism.
That just sets Luffy off. All that confusion and fear turns into pure rage. He goes for the most insane, desperate attack yet. He just lunges forward and bites Crocodile's entire head.
He has Crocodile's head and shoulders just in his mouth. The panel is absurd. It's another moment of pure, unadulterated Luffy.
It's so stupid and so brilliant at the same time. If you can't punch him or grab him, maybe you can eat him. I don't know. It's pure instinct. There is no plan here. It's just, I am going to inflict damage on you in any way I can.
Of course, it doesn't work. Crocodile just reforms out of his mouth, completely unfazed, maybe slightly annoyed at having to dust himself off.
And then he says the line that changes everything. The line that elevates him from a powerful obstacle to a truly monstrous villain.
It's time for you in that Yuba place to die. He says it so casually. It's not a threat shouted in anger. It's a statement of intent. He's closing a ledger.
He raises his hand to the sky and you can feel the air change. The tone of the manga shifts. He says the sand feels particularly dry today, and then he creates a massive, swirling sandstorm that blots out the sun.
The scale of this is immense. It's not a little whirlwind. It's a biblical event. And we cut away all across Alabasta. People are seeing this unnatural storm brew in the distance. We see people across the country, and we see Vivi. She's in the palace, and she sees it, and she knows immediately. She knows it's him.
This is where the pieces click into place in the most horrible way. While this storm is raging around them, Crocodile starts talking to Luffy, almost conversationally, as if he's a teacher giving a final, cruel lecture.
Taunting him. He's just monologuing while Luffy is being thrown around, blinded, and choked by this swirling vortex of sand. He says something like, "How strange it is that Yuba, the town next to the royal capital of Alabarna, keeps getting hit by sandstorms while the capital never does, almost as if someone were directing them."
And you can see it on Luffy's face, even through the swirling sand, the realization dawning, the pure, uncomprehending horror.
All those sandstorms, the ones that dried up the oases, the ones that made everyone's life a living hell, that was him. He's been doing this for years. He orchestrated the entire drought.
He hasn't just been passively benefiting from the country's misfortune. He's been actively creating it. He's been systematically destroying the country's agriculture and morale to position himself as a hero. This is villainy on a national scale, a plan that has taken years to come to fruition.
The dance powder was a government conspiracy, a red herring to make the king look bad. But this is a crime against nature itself. He's been torturing that old man personally for years. Every day that man woke up and dug was a day Crocodile was actively working to make his efforts futile.
The psychological cruelty of it is astounding. It's one thing to defeat an enemy. It's another to let them toil and hope, knowing you hold the strings and can ensure their failure. He let that man dig knowing he would never find water, because Crocodile himself was ensuring the land stayed barren. He was feeding on that man's despair.
That's it for Luffy. That is the final straw. He just loses it. He screams and charges, all strategy gone. He doesn't care about the Logia powers. He doesn't care about the sand. He doesn't care about anything except making this man pay for what he's done. Just pure, unfiltered rage.
Which is exactly what Crocodile wanted. He engineered this entire sequence. He mocked Luffy, he revealed his grand, cruel plan, all to provoke this exact reaction. A blind, thoughtless charge.
He runs right at him, and Crocodile just lifts his golden hook. There's no fancy move, no named attack. He doesn't even move from his spot.
It's over in an instant. The paneling is masterful. We see Luffy's fist flying, full of rage. The next panel, a close-up on Crocodile's calm, predatory eye. And then, the result. Luffy throws a punch, Crocodile sidesteps with the bare minimum of effort, and the hook goes right through Luffy's chest.
He lifts him off the ground with it. There's this sickening, wet, piercing sound. There's no ambiguity. It's not a glancing blow. It's a clean, fatal-looking wound. Impaled. He's just hanging there.
And as Luffy is bleeding out, hanging from his arm, all the fight draining out of him, Crocodile leans in and gives his little speech, the final nail in the coffin.
You're one of dime a dozen crop of rookies on the Grand Line. Just total dismissal. He beat him, and now he's erasing him. He's not even a worthy opponent. He's just another nameless pirate who thought he could play with the big boys and got squashed. He's nothing.
It's the ultimate insult. After revealing his grand, evil plan, he tells Luffy that he wasn't even important enough to be considered a real threat. The chapter ends there, with Luffy defeated, impaled, bleeding out, and left to die in the desert he was trying to save.
I mean, what a brutal beatdown. We've never seen him lose this badly. Arlong knocked him into the water, but that was because he was in a bad spot. Smoker pinned him down, but he didn't really injure him. This was a straight-up demolition. Crocodile didn't even look like he was trying that hard for most of it.
It perfectly establishes the threat of a warlord of the sea. This isn't just a strong pirate. This is someone on a completely different plane. This is a person who has mastered their abilities to a terrifying degree and has the strategic cruelty to match. This is the government's answer to the emperors. These are the monsters the Marines are willing to make a deal with to maintain some semblance of order.
And now Luffy's down. Not just down, he's been left for dead with a hole in his chest. The crew doesn't even know where he is. Vivi thinks he's fighting, but she doesn't know he's already lost. Where does the story even go from here? How do you come back from this?
It's a dark, dark place for the Straw Hats. Their captain, the seemingly invincible force of nature that has smashed through every obstacle in the East Blue, has been effectively executed by the man they're trying to stop. It feels hopeless.
Man, what a chapter. It's called Level, and that's exactly what it is. A lesson in the different levels of the Grand Line, and Luffy just failed the test spectacularly. If you think you know how Luffy gets out of this one, let us know what you think down in the comments. We're gonna need some hope after this one, because I'm not seeing a way out.
Me neither. The narrative rules as we understand them have been broken. But this is One Piece. The dawn always comes even after the darkest night. All right, predictions for chapter 179?
Okay. I've got to wrap my head around this. Prediction 1, someone finds Luffy. It has to be, but it's not one of the Straw Hats. They're all too far away and dealing with other Baroque Works agents in Rainbase. My money is on maybe Pell? He can fly. He could spot him from the air while surveying the sandstorm. Or maybe someone we don't expect, a random desert creature? That feels a bit too convenient, though. I'm sticking with Pell.
That's a solid guess. For my first, I predict we'll see Crocodile arrive in Rainbase, the city with the casino, Rain Dinners. His plan will move into its next phase. He'll believe Luffy is dead and buried in the sand, so there's no reason to wait anymore. The final stage of Operation Utopia begins, and we'll learn more about what that name truly means. He's going to be insufferably smug.
Oh, that's heavy. Just seeing him walk away from that and go about his business would be infuriating. Okay, for my second prediction, Luffy survives because of his devil fruit. This is my long shot theory. The hook went through him, but maybe because he's rubber, it stretched his organs out of the way instead of piercing them. It sounds insane, but this is a world with devil fruits. It's the only thing I can think of that isn't just someone with super advanced medical skills finds him by chance in the middle of a gigantic desert.
An interesting application of his abilities. I like that. My second prediction is that we will cut back to Vivi and the others. She'll see the sandstorm that Crocodile created dissipate, and, not knowing what happened, will assume Luffy won, or at least she'll cling to that hope. She'll proceed with her plan, trying to get to the rebel army to stop the fighting, operating under a false hope that the main villain has been dealt with. The dramatic irony will be devastating for us as readers.
Oof, that would be classic Oda, just twisting the knife while it's already in there. Watching her be hopeful while we know Luffy is lying in a heap somewhere would be so rough. Okay, my final prediction. It's a bit out there. The person who finds Luffy is Miss All Sunday, Nico Robin. She's been this mysterious, shadowy figure, and we don't know her true motivations. Maybe she's not 100% loyal to Crocodile. Maybe finding his defeated enemy serves her own purposes. She shows up, looks down at him, and the chapter ends.
Oh, I would love that. That would introduce an incredible dynamic. Is she there to finish the job or to save him? The ambiguity would be fantastic. For my final prediction, I'm going to focus on the crew. I think chapter 179 will show us the rest of the Straw Hats falling into Crocodile's trap in Rainbase. We'll see them get captured or cornered, compounding the disaster. Not only is the captain down, but the entire crew is about to be taken off the board, leaving Vivi and Alabasta completely and truly alone. Total despair.
Man, your predictions are always so bleak, Robin.
I prefer to call them dramatically compelling, Franky.
Fair enough. And finally, a quick note from the author this week. Oda-sensei says, my new editor Habuta-san has arrived. He has a family, so I might think about possibly considering not asking too much out of him.
The layers of non-commitment in that statement are astounding.
I might think about possibly considering. That's about as much of a break as anyone gets working on this masterpiece. It's like, welcome to the team. I promise to only work you to the bone, maybe.
A gentle warning to the new editor. All right, those are our predictions. A downed captain, a preceding villain, and a potentially captured crew.
We'll see next week if Luffy is still breathing. This is a tough one. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Don't lose hope.
And keep digging for that oasis. Until next time on Inherited Dawn.